What's up, hockey fans? Happy Wednesday night. Snipe Celly coming at you. My name is Dan Bradley. Alongside me tonight, Joel Fernino. Joel, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
I am doing well, Dan. Just got that fresh cut. Not that you could really ever tell because my hair's usually shortish anyway, but
It definitely, you keep it on the shorter side. Always have, really. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of you with your hair more than about a half inch longer than where it's at now.
I mean, I'm not going to derail the convo real fast because obviously we went from, I wanted to make this joke, we went from having not really that much to talk about to all of a sudden, oh, holy shit, there is a lot to talk about. But real fast, yeah, my hair, the longest my hair ever was, big surprise here, was during the pandemic where I went like a solid, I think I was counting. It was close to 8 months without getting it cut. And I actually legitimately had like, I'm not even like saying this because I'm a fan of it and everything. I had like a hockey flow going. It was kind of crazy.
Did you happen to take a picture of that at all by any chance?
I
when
did.
You had your hair that long?
I did. I actually have a with a hat on, making it the hockey flow, and then with the hat off. So I will, if you're alluding to tweeting that on the account, I will send those out on the account.
I need
if that's
to
what you
figure
were
out,
alluding to, I will do it.
I need to figure out if I still have the pandemic flow that I had. I know I took a picture of it. I don't know if I still have a picture of it.
Your hair was still, I remember your hair even being super long in college, like more so than in the pandemic.
In college, for sure, I had it longer. And even now, I mean, in the pandemic, because what my hair does when I grow it out is I get like the little wings going to come out on the side. And in college, those were pronounced. I mean, they were huge. Whereas now, not nearly as big. I tend to keep it pretty clean nowadays. I'll go and look for this picture more after the show. Let's get into the hockey talk.
Question. Hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Are we not on Facebook again?
No, we should be. I have a notice that says we are on Facebook.
All right, hold on.
I shared the show link from the StreamYard or from our Facebook page, which, by the way, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. We are at Snipe Celly. That's on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Facebook. Interesting. So
no, we are not.
StreamYard, once again, still dealing with the Facebook issues. The entire show was not on Facebook last week.
So if YouTube's more fun anyway.
But. Yeah, if you're joining us, join us from YouTube, or even Twitter. But we'll see your Twitter comments throughout the show and pop them up on the screen here. If you're joining us on YouTube, that's certainly the best way to go there. But we need to start the show tonight on what is a little bit more of a somber note than what we would normally do. We would like to offer our condolences, thoughts, prayers to Adam Johnson and his family. A terrible situation. For those who are unfamiliar, Adam Johnson was a former NHL hockey player, former UMD Bulldog, for all you college hockey fans, who was playing overseas in Europe. He was playing in the UK, and in an incident last week, there was a weird collision.
Freak accident.
Right as he was
total freak accident.
Freak accident as he was crossing the blue line and into the zone. Ended up taking skate blade to the neck. And unfortunately, due to the medical complications, it sounds like there was a delayed medical response as well. One thing that the NHL does is requiring 3 medical personnel to be in the building, and at least one like at bench level, and another ambulance in the arena. There was no ambulance in the arena for Adam Johnson, which can delay. It delays the treatment. I don't know that that's the outright cause of what happened, but we do know that there was a delay in that response, and unfortunately, Johnson passed away as a result of the injury. really just a terrible scene all the way around. Unfortunately, there is still video of the incident up if you know where to look. Twitter actually has not taken the video down.
Big surprise there.
Joel, you said you watched the video. I
did.
I came across it, but I realized I saw the skates going up, and it took me a minute to realize like what it was.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the skates go up, that was when I realized, I'm clicking
yeah,
off this and not watching it.
Yeah, like I mean, I saw it, but that's kind of not really the point here. Like, yes, obviously it's it still shows up, but to your point, yeah, exactly. Like from myself, like just a condolences, thoughts, prayers to the Johnson family, Adam Johnson. It's sad. It's like we said, a freak accident, and more actually, the better word for it is a freak tragedy.
Yeah, Mateo saying word to the wise, just don't watch. Yeah,
exactly. The whole point here is like we're not trying to talk about the video itself. Like that's not not what the point of this is.
If you've seen the Clint Malarchuk video, if you've seen the Richard Zednick video,
you've seen them all.
You've seen the same sort of thing.
And
it's not
that's
good. Don't watch.
And it's a good point because like you've seen some of those, like the names Jan just said, like it happens. I mean, this game is fast. These guys are skating at upwards of 20 plus miles per hour. The puck can get shot at upwards of 100 plus miles per hour. Like it's a bang bang type of sport. Things go crazy. And like Dan said, you see these videos of people, the guys go head over heels all the time, whether it's a missed check in this case or a hip check that lands, regular checks, tripping,
collision with your own player.
Yeah, collision with your own player. I saw something today highlighting like those crazy collisions into the boards when you just cannot control yourself in time before you hit the boards in an awkward angle, this, that, the other thing. What I'm alluding to is that we send our thoughts and prayers to the Johnson family, but our thoughts are also with the player who was involved in it, and that's Matt Petgrave. Petgrave, am I saying that right?
Yep.
I can't even imagine what his mental state is after that. And
oh God, no.
I don't want to either.
No,
I just, the nice thing is I did see like, what was the team Adam Johnson was playing for? I can't remember the name of the team.
He was with the Nottingham Panthers.
There you go.
And playing against the Sheffield Steelers.
Yeah. So the Nottingham Panthers all like released a statement, like coming to the like aid, I guess, or defense
the
or
public
whatever
defense of Petgrave.
Petgrave, because yes, unfortunately there's like, it's sad and it's a tragedy, but another part of this is you got the people, of course, all over Twitter who decide that they are all of a sudden experts in hockey coming out and trying to say that like this is Petgrave's fault and he did it on purpose, which is right off the bat. I'm going to tell you, if you're listening to me right now, if you see my face right now, that is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. And yes, I'm swearing because it pisses me off to see, and Mateo and I have talked about this actually, so I'm sure he'll comment. It pisses me off to see just these douchebag Twitter warriors that decide to pay $8 a month for a blue check mark just to think that they're cool, come out and use this horrible tragedy to fuel their own agenda.
And not only their own agenda, but their own racist agenda. Let's call it what it is.
Because call a spade a spade, sure.
Because Petgrave is a black hockey player. Adam Johnson was a white hockey player. And there are people who believe that the incident was racially motivated, that Petgrave is a dirty player. The backlash to this incident has been frankly sickening.
Yeah.
It is disgusting to see the things that are being said. It is disgusting to see people calling for the death penalty for Petgrave, which, yeah, because they are trying to say that this was murder, that he planned to do it, that it's manslaughter, that even if he didn't necessarily mean to do it, that his negligence led to this death. And disgusting cartoons that were made up as well. of the incident, which, by the way,
I luckily haven't seen those.
Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Elon Musk, like, get your shit together. Because reporting some of the things that we see, like, I know I reported content and I got a thing back that says, unfortunately, we didn't find a problem with what you had reported. And what I reported was one of the most racist things I've ever seen. So if that's still going through, like, Twitter has its own problems, and we're not going to get into that. But it's frankly bullshit that this is where we are at in 2023, that something like this becomes a racial incident, that it's a freak accident. Call it what it is.
Exactly. And
then we've got guys like Greg Wyshynski who are reporting, the British police are investigating this, without providing the context that they investigate everything. They investigate every death that is not attributed to natural causes. And most of the time, they rule, yep, okay, here's what happened. Nobody's at fault.
Yep.
We move on.
Precisely.
But to advance that story and tell that news without that context is so dangerous. And to double down on that when people were calling him out on it on Twitter and saying, dude, like, you're feeding the trolls here, and you're doing it for clicks. It's ridiculous.
And I'm with Mateo here. Like, yeah, he said his piece. Like, you have support of a Panthers player, so you know someone on the team. I've seen a tweet from a Panthers player that, again, it's literally saying exactly what we're saying. Like we're in support of Petgrave. Like, it's an accident, and like, it's to the point where you probably imagine he's probably never going to play again, because he probably mentally just can't touch the ice anymore, because he's like, he's probably messed up in that sense. Exactly. And the whole thing is like this, it's a tragedy. It's a freak accident, and it sucks that it happened. But then you have the people like he's talking about that he's arguing with, fucking morons, who want to jump in and make it not about what needs to be the focal point. And that is that, Adam Johnson, it's a tragedy. And like, that's what this should be about. It is a tragedy. It shouldn't ever happen. Unfortunately, it can, because it is a dangerous sport. Like, again, some sports are dangerous. We saw Damar Hamlin in the NFL. They weren't, you didn't see random people jumping up in arms. Actually, I kind of did. Random people jumping up in arms about that, of like, oh my God, the guy who hit him should be.
People wanted T. Higgins to be fined, suspended, whatever. Like, no.
Tried for near murder or attempted murder. And I'm like, okay. And the thing is when people say that shit, like, we're sports fans. We study the sport. We're not, again, and I'm not going to say we're experts here, but there are experts. And there's the guys that fucking play.
Yeah.
The guys that literally play this sport day in and day out, professionally too, by the way. That's who you listen to. You don't listen to some douchebag that probably got rejected from being a member of Fox News, jumping on Twitter and calling for people's murder trials, that have never watched a goddamn minute of hockey in their life. It's sick. It's sickening. And then
we're back up on Facebook here.
Okay,
which is good to know. But yeah, the comment coming through. No hockey player or fan would ever claim this tragedy was in any way intentional for any reason. Haters gonna hate, can't fix stupid. Yeah.
And actually, hold on. I'm actually gonna fix her statement there too. No hockey player no hockey player has claimed this as any way intentional.
Yeah.
No hockey expert has claimed this as intentional, because it's not.
If there's one
thing
that there's a couple things that I take from this incident. One that I actually appreciated was the Pittsburgh Penguins, which that was Adam Johnson's NHL team when he played, had an outstanding tribute for Adam Johnson. And the thing that I appreciated the most about it was that instead of doing a moment of silence, they did a moment of cheering, where everybody in the building clapped, cheered, cried, but just made they blew the roof off the building.
That's amazing. And that video is chill inducing, but in obviously
in a good way,
celebration of life
yes.
type of way. Yeah.
Yes. In light of dark moments like that, I think that is something I would love to see continue when appropriate moving forward. That when it's calling for a celebration of life instead of a moment of silence, a moment of cheering for someone's memory, especially in a case like this. That was really, really that was really cool to see, and we'll get the video shared on our pages too. So anybody who hasn't seen that, definitely go check that out.
Yeah, but to put a bow on it, we had to start the show to simply memorialize Adam Johnson, but also literally, like we said, talk about the support and send our thoughts and prayers to Matt Petgrave and his family.
We stand with Matt Petgrave.
We do. We stand with Matt Petgrave. We send our condolences, thoughts, and prayers to the Johnson family. It is a sad, horrible tragedy, but we can't not memorialize him because it's a tragedy and it's sad when this happens. But we need to come together as a hockey fan base. And actually, you know what? I'd like to think we mostly have. The people that we're talking about and that Dan and I are like going at right now,
the people we're mad at.
Yeah, the people that we're fucking living with, they're not hockey fans.
No,
they're not. We're gonna call you. Dan called a spade a spade. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. Most of the shit we're seeing, I'm sure that there are some hockey fans in there. We don't accept them anyway into our hockey fan family anyway. But most of them are not hockey fans. They are claiming they are for their own stupid agenda, and quite frankly, they can fuck off. But rest in peace to Adam Johnson, and we stand with Matt Petgrave. That's how I want to end that segment because that's how it should end.
One way that we can kind of advance.
There's no easy way to segue from this, obviously. But.
There's not, but one way that we sort of can is looking at the issue of net guards. And that's something that we have seen in recent weeks NHL play, or I shouldn't say recent weeks. It's been a week. But that we've seen over the last couple of days of players announcing at all levels of the game that they are going to commit to start wearing net guards.
Yep.
Net guards aren't required at virtually any level of hockey. They really don't have a ton of disadvantages. Some people say that they aren't comfortable to wear. I say if it's uncomfortable to wear, would you rather have that, or would you rather take the skate and run that risk?
Yeah.
To me, I think kind of a no-brainer, especially at the youth levels, that this is something that should be mandated. I look at, organizations like USA Hockey or, the Canadian junior circuits, the US junior circuits, where they have rules based on your age of, do you wear a cage? Do you wear a bubble? Can you wear a half visor?
Right.
Nobody can go full no visor. Nobody is able to do that, but
not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Do you think the NHL, the AHL, other leagues should make net guards mandatory?
I mean, yeah. I think look, we have all the evidence. We were talking about videos, like this is the biggest unfortunate video of them all that you can add to the evidence. I mean, luckily for the other scenarios we've seen, they didn't end in tragedy like this. The player did come away with it, or come away from it, I should say, okay.
By the way, 2 seconds to revisit Clint Malarchuk here for a minute. If you are a subscriber to The Athletic, they did a great piece recently where they caught up with Clint Malarchuk and talked about after Johnson's passing, kind of where things are at for Malarchuk now and the long-term trauma from that. And if you didn't know this as well, a few years back, Malarchuk, I mean, he went almost 20 years with undiagnosed PTSD from that incident, and he tried to take his own life as well a few years ago. Thankfully was unsuccessful in the attempt and has since been very active in mental health research funding, training, education, spreading knowledge about mental health issues and PTSD. Definitely recommend looking up that article with Malarchuk as well. And his whole story is tragic, but there's hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Wanted to mention that as well when talking about some of these other incidents we've seen.
Absolutely. And that's another piece. Like there's just so much evidence to add to where, like, yeah, I think you should make the, like, they've had so many instances that ultimately added to needing the visor, right? And then lower levels obviously needing full on cage. I mean, you could even go back in history, like goalies didn't have to wear masks. And obviously, ultimately, they were like, well, this is stupid. Hold on. Like, it's.
Yeah, puck coming in at 100 mile an hour, let me block it with my face.
Right, exactly. Like, I don't care if you are tough enough or think you're tough enough to do it. You don't have to, and you shouldn't. And you're not. Like, you're not, and you shouldn't have to either. In this scenario, too, like, there's the comfort aspect, but that's something obviously everybody can get past. Like, comfort, who cares? Like, you're not comfortable when you're getting checked into the boards either, but you deal with it, right? Like it's kind of, that's a moot point in a way, right? Like, but I think not only should it be mandatory, but it's 2023. We got the technology to make it so you can, like, things can be developed. You'll obviously have to start somewhere, but things can be developed where, like, maybe they are eventually made comfortable, or there's ways where it won't. Like, I know I had heard, like, some players don't like it because it's inhibiting a little bit. There's ways to make it not so inhibiting to your gameplay. Like, I get that. I mean, it's similar to, like, in football, that what is it, the neck guard thing, the oh God, I can't, no one really even wears it anymore. I think there's one linebacker on, I think, the Cowboys that wears it.
Oh, like the thing behind that keeps your head from
literally
back.
It looks like a spoiler on a car, but on your
like, I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember exactly what it's called. I think it's just a neck guard or whatever. I remember I never wanted to wear that when I played football because it was just kind of annoying. Or there's the obvious, again, like, you can't segue easily, but now I can make a little humor. There's the argument of wearing a cup or not in certain scenarios, right? Like, in football, I would. And then I think my sophomore year of high school football, I didn't. And I got away with it, but I knew, I was like, this is risky. Like, it's because.
And Mateo, who played hockey,
right?
He says, I mean, I get the argument for not wearing one because I didn't, but it should be mandatory.
Absolutely.
And it goes on to say, I think it should be mandatory because when given the option, players won't wear one.
Right.
TJ Oshie has a company that makes net guards, and he does not wear one. But he has said since he is going to start wearing one.
I thought they were shirts.
Yeah, there are somewhere. Yeah, you can have the net guards built into the shirt.
That's what his company is. It's like a shirt that it's like uncuttable material, and it comes up that high or whatever, and it's like, there you go. Like, we already got a starting point here, and it's a player in the league playing professionally, a very damn good player playing professionally for many years. Like, he knows what he's doing. He understands the experience. Mateo understands the experience. When you played, you understand it. You and I never played, but we can at least relate slightly.
Right. Working with junior hockey players for 10 years, the idea that it's not a requirement right now is kind of crazy to me.
Right.
And I think for the people who are saying it's not comfortable, implement it at the youth levels now so that as players are coming up through the ranks, it gets more comfortable.
Yep.
Because that's what it's going to take. It'll get more comfortable with time.
Right.
But
I can't imagine wearing a full. Actually, I can, because we've at least done floor hockey with this. Wearing a full cage versus just a visor, that vision is night and day.
Yeah,
and even in football, there was like, I remember getting, like, you would try to get the specific type of helmet when it was pre-high school football, where you got like full stuff, and then when you get into high school, there's like some of them are like the full on, like you can't see a damn thing, and then some of them are a little more modernized back then where you could actually see a little better. Like, Mateo's right though, like, you give the option, they're not going to do it. So Look, the NHL fines players for stupid shit already. Why not start fining them for actually useful shit?
You can be penalized for the tilt of your visor if you have it like popped up.
Yep.
We saw that a couple years ago.
And it's all about the evolution of the game, right? This is just another step in evolving the game. We talked about no mask for the goalie, evolving to the fact that the play gets stopped if the goalie loses his mask.
Yeah.
That's evolution.
Yeah. As the game gets faster, more intense, more high stakes, you get more power, you get more speed across the board. The equipment has to keep up. And if players aren't going to be proactive about keeping up with the protections, same thing with wrist guards as well. Like I can understand not wanting the wrist guards more than I can understand not wanting the net guard. It still to me seems like there's good reason to do both. I don't know that any of my children, when I have kids, will ever play hockey, but if they do, net guard and wrist guard, like it's going to be mandatory, and that's just how it's going to be. And if they don't like it, they won't play.
Yeah, I think it's plain and simple.
Let's move on to a very weird scenario in Ottawa, where the Ottawa Senators.
This is what I was referring to when I said we didn't have much to talk about. Now all of a sudden we got a bunch of random shit going on.
At about 9:00 this morning, I'm going, man, what other than Adam Johnson are we going to talk about tonight? Like where do we need to go? And pulled some topics up. And then Ottawa just ended up having a day where the league announced that they would be punished with the forfeiture of a first-round draft pick. The Senators organization can choose whether they lose that pick in 24, 25, or 26. But this goes back to an attempt to trade Evgeny Dadonov to the Vegas Golden Knights. This was 2 years ago at the 2022 trade deadline. The trade was reversed. The league hates Ottawa confirmed. Yeah, they really, really do.
The irony of that is that's Canada's capital.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, except for hockey, where it's Toronto, clearly. But
I mean, literally, legally.
Oh, yes, legally it is, but in the hockey world, it's Toronto.
Obviously,
and because Toronto and Ottawa don't like each other. The league hates Ottawa confirmed. I mean, we just talked about this last week with Shane Pinto's 41-game betting suspension. So in the span of the last 8 days, we get a 41-game ban hammer for Pinto. We get the forfeiture of their first-round draft pick. They fired their general manager
today,
partially due to this mess, but also because
he was on the hot seat for at least
he's been on the hot seat since he got the job,
pretty much,
and has not.
And all the while, you have a new owner that just came in and is like, "What the hell is going on? I had nothing to do with any of this."
Yeah. And so is already dealing with all of these investigations, which had not been really discussed, it sounds like, prior to the sale, which, again, looks really, really bad on the NHL's part if they didn't say, hey, we're investigating one of your players for gambling. Also, that you may be without a first-round pick in one of your first 3 seasons of owning this team. So congratulations. Hats off to you.
Mateo over here also, I don't think it's Ottawa's fault that Vegas didn't do their due diligence on public information.
Yeah, look at Cap Friendly and see, hey, he's got a 10-team no trade list. You call, you ask, okay, are we on that no trade list? Seems easy enough.
Yes, but on the devil's advocate side of things, that is on Ottawa. They are the one proposing the trade and doing the trade. They need to send that to them. They did violate
propose it, but yes,
they did violate the rules. They literally violated the rules. I can't argue that. But to your point, everything you just brought up, there's this today, which right off the bat, I'll say it's a little like you're unearthing this nearly 2 years later when Vegas won a Stanley Cup already. Dadnov's in
they missed the playoffs, now, right? And then they won the cup last year. That all happened. We thought this was dead and buried.
Right. Dadnov's now in Florida, right? Right? Dadnov's in Florida?
Say what?
Dadnov's in Florida now, right? Where did he go?
I think so.
I think he's in Florida.
Or did he go to? He was in Dallas for a hot second too. Yeah, Dallas.
Oh, Dallas. I'm sorry. So he's thank you. Yeah, Mateo jumped it in. Yeah, he's in Dallas now. He's not even on either of the teams.
Yeah,
but it's just crazy because you have the Shane Pinto thing where 41 game suspension. Meanwhile, you got things like Rafi Torres trying to scramble Marian Hos's brain, and he only got 27 games for that. But okay.
Yeah. He did later get 41 after doing the same thing again to somebody else.
Yeah, well, that also just
somebody with the Blues.
That's also because repeat offender type deal too. Like repeat offender stuff versus he gambled, and he didn't even gamble on the NHL.
Yeah,
he gambled. What did he gamble on? Wasn't it like college football?
We don't know. They haven't announced that they're not going to.
Okay, yeah, and they're not going to. But that Shane Pinto thing is probably part of what got their GM fired too, because like that's also kind of on him. Like they were doing a contract. They were trying to do contract extension talks. He wasn't exactly like they just weren't agreeing on a contract yet. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, the biggest story is he going to get a contract? Okay, we'll see. Oh, look at this news. What's this? Oh, what the hell? He's suspended for gambling. What?
Oh, and now we can pull our offers and force him to sign his his qualifying offer and save some money there. And also he has to do that so he can start serving the suspension immediately. Yeah,
that's also why I would argue like what Poitras is how you say his name, right?
Matt Poitras with Boston,
right?
Yeah,
no. The GM who got fired today.
Oh, Dorian.
I'm
Pierre Dorian.
Where did I get?
No, you're thinking of Matt Poitras with which we're going to talk about later on.
I know. I had something up for Boston, and his name came up. Yeah. So Dorian was already like that was already kind of a fishy thing right off the bat with Shane Pinto, and like now we can pull the offers. That's a little weird. His seat was already hot. This getting re-unearthed though was kind of the final nail in his coffin. Fair or not, I definitely can see arguments on both sides, but Mateo jumping in here. Rafi Torres on his 10th suspension, Pinto letting people bet from his account. The exact same thing. True. Yep, same thing. Air quotes for no one who sees me right now. It's a rough day to be an Ottawa Senators fan.
Every day is a rough day to be an Ottawa Senators fan. Just ask them.
I know that pain. I'm a Bears fan.
Remember when they were literally one goal away from the Stanley Cup final?
Yeah.
Game 7 overtime against the Penguins, Eastern Conference final.
They were one goal away from us not even talking about the Penguins being repeat Stanley Cup champions or winning 3 with Crosby and Malkin as opposed to just 1.
2. Or no, I guess. Well, no, because they did win it the next year as well.
That
would have been their first one. Yeah.
And they got knocked out though. Who knows what would have happened, right?
Yeah.
It is crazy. Just shit has gone so off the rails for them. It's nuts. And obviously, I think the biggest talking point we got to talk about is like, what the hell are you doing, NHL? Obviously, I mean, like you go ahead. I can get the elephant in the room out of the way of this is what's going to happen in this scenario. And then obviously you have the stuff with that happened with the Hawks and Kyle Beach, where that was just monetary and the monetary fine wasn't enough. It was only $2 million. That's like you and I paying a parking ticket. Like,
oh boy,
there's that compared to, well, I'll let you go because obviously we have thoughts there.
Yeah. Cover up sexual assault for a decade and you get a $2 million fine, which you're a franchise that makes $220 million a year. Drop in a bucket.
That's low.
But that's on an annual, and that's after the revenue redistribution.
It's like that. Like the Hawks are worth at least $2 billion.
They're worth versus the revenue that they generate.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously.
But yeah, revenue generation of 200 some odd million a year and a $2 million fine that they'll make up in less than a month in ticket sales alone versus like, and even if you want to say, what about the cash value of a first round pick? If you sign a first round pick to a league minimum deal, the salary that you're paying that player for the first 3 years
is about $1 million.
Surpasses the $2 million threshold that the Hawks were fined. So, yeah, believe it or not, it is a harsher penalty.
Well, wait, no. An ELC contract is what, $900K?
ELC is $750 to $925.
Oh, okay.
So even if you go at $750K, that over 3 years is 2.1.
Yeah. Right. So and that's where the consistency
is so inconsistent.
Now,
it's so frustrating as a fan to see this inconsistency.
The only thing is with those two things, they aren't apples to apples.
They're not.
The theme of this is we're calling spade a spade. Those things are not the same. And I'm not saying that as a Hawks fan. I'm saying they are not the same. And saying they are the same almost does a disservice to what happened to Kyle Beach. There is humanity involved in the Kyle Beach stuff versus the Ottawa thing. Like they did violate a rule, a literally written rule, which also, if it is a literal written rule, there are obvious written.
You would think, but there was no written consequence to what happened.
Well, they didn't.
Other than that, the trade would be reversed. That's
why the
thing
league
that was written.
That's why the league coming out saying we're going to do this to Ottawa, but not saying why is like, what? What the hell do you mean you're not going to say why? You're just going to say like, all right, we're doing this.
We consider the matter closed.
Yeah, and that's just that to me is pretty much right on par with what describes Gary Bettman, and that's being a cowardly bitch. But that describes Gary Bettman. So that entire thing of just coming out saying we're punishing you and then leaving and not saying anything about it or why, that's being a cowardly piece of shit, which is what Gary Bettman is. But
at some point, Bettman is going to end up in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I absolutely hate that that's the case, but that's what they do with commissioners. Regardless of the sport, they put him in the Hall.
I mean,
I really hope that on his plaque, all it says is, we have no further comment at this time.
Right.
And consider the matter closed.
Yep, exactly.
Because the number of times that he has had to say that throughout his tenure as commissioner of the NHL, it's ridiculous.
Right. And that's, that's kind of why, you can compare this, like I said, it's not apples to apples. Literal rule violation versus just a violation of actual law and humanity. And you get the select few people that were responsible for it. They answered for it. They were forced out. Difference here, Dorian was already on the hot seat. This just ultimately kind of pulled the trigger, basically. That's why, it's different. I understand, because you're never good. The whole thing, and I said this to you and HP in our group chat, and I was also listening to The Athletic, their hockey podcast, and they talked about comparing the two, because you can't compare the two. But they brought up a good point. Well, they brought up the point about it being a violation of an actual rule versus, what happened with Kyle Beach. Not everybody was ever going to be satisfied. And actually, one of my favorite podcast guys, the CHGO Blackhawks podcast, said it on Twitter. There's plenty of people out there, not you, obviously, you're smarter than this, but there's plenty of people out there that would not have been satisfied with the punishment to the Blackhawks anything lower than literally liquidating the entire organization and us not having a hockey team anymore. And that's just not realistic. That's not going to happen.
No.
But there are people that were never going to be satisfied unless that happened, and that's it. There's no other argument. There's no middle ground. It's just kill the franchise. Chicago no longer has an NHL team. That's it. That's just stupid. That's not going to happen, especially for the actions of specific people as opposed to an entire org. They represent the org, but luckily the org got rid of them and canned their ass, rightfully so. It's, I guess, more, and this also described, this is what the Athletic show mentioned, was you can almost compare it to kind of like what the New Jersey Devils did with the Kovalchuk contract. that whole scenario, and you can read up on it. I don't want to go deep into it, but it's those scenarios. You can kind of compare them apples to apples because it's actually violating a rule. But the thing is the NHL actually dropped the charges, for lack of a better word, on the New Jersey Devils and the whole Kovalchuk thing. In this case,
for those who didn't know, the Devils were fined $3 million and forfeited a first-round pick and forfeited a third-round pick.
Yeah,
for signing a contract that was technically legal, but Bettman didn't like it because he thought it was cap circumvention.
Yep.
Which also, by the way, is the reason that the Parise and Suter buyouts were necessary, because otherwise they too would have been hit with similar, what they call cap recapture penalties, like what happened with the Devils, like what happened with the Canucks, with Luongo, like what could have happened with Shea Weber.
I think the Coyotes went through something similar to this too, right?
Coyotes had to forfeit a pick for improper prospect testing during COVID.
Okay.
Which again, like if we're like ranking these things on a list of what's the worst thing,
I mean, well, we know Kyle Beach is the worst.
Yes, we know Hawks are number one.
That's in its own. That's in its own thing,
and it is so far beyond.
Yes.
But compared to some of these other infractions, it's like, really, what are we doing here?
Well, and that's the whole inconsistency. The Mateo too. What happened didn't hurt Vegas. Like they weren't going to make the playoffs regardless whether or not the trade goes through.
And Ottawa didn't make the playoffs either.
I think a fair for the Hawk stuff, I think a fair penalty would have been the Nazer pick and a healthy fine that goes straight to. Well, and so that's the thing, and that's what I'm getting at with the Hawks thing. Like $2 million, even I'm telling you, that ain't enough. Like I said, that's like you and I paying a parking ticket.
Yeah.
For what happened, like you need to a legitimate fine should have started in the 8 figures, maybe even 9. But along with that, and that's not even in addition to obviously the Hawks and Kyle Beach settled in court, and that number will never be disclosed as it shouldn't be disclosed.
Yeah, there's the legal ramifications, and there's the what happens with the league and the on ice product. And I think the issue fans take is the Blackhawks did not suffer in a way that was tangible on the ice for what happened, whereas losing out on your first round pick is going to affect your team on the ice. Presumably, you're going to get a good player with a first round pick. Most of the time, that's what happens. Right. And you need that. And especially for Ottawa, who has not seen the success in recent years and has kind of fully torpedoed the organization to burn it down and start over and rebuild, pretty much. Losing out on that first round pick over the next 3 years is big.
Yeah.
That is a hefty on ice penalty that they're going to feel.
It's what I wonder.
And that's the frustration of it.
It's where I wonder too. I'm wondering if the owner, or hell, now the new GM that gets appointed, can't appeal this. Because I think they should try. Knowing the NHL, they're going to be stubborn and not work with them on it, but you got to try. Because for the exact same reasons we talked about, for the exact same examples you gave with the Devils, or I can even throw the Coyotes in there, throw the Wild thing in there with Parise and Suter. Like you have examples where it's like they could appeal this. I don't know if it'll work, but it's definitely worth a try. Mateo, yeah, especially when the Sens suck after losing to Brinkett this summer. Yeah, I'm not saying like the draft pick thing with what happened with the Kyle Beach stuff like would have narrated to each other. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like they have the rules of like you violated this, so like you're losing a draft pick versus that is like that's territory we've never touched. We don't really know how to, punish you.
Again, without them having a set rule here, like the NHL in so many aspects is so reactive instead of proactive.
Nope, I get it.
Like the league doesn't have a domestic violence policy. The league does not have a what happens if you trade a player on the no trade list policy. Right. The league doesn't have, I mean, even recently, like you look at with the Pride tape where they banned it and then a player used it And then they said, oh, we'll reverse the ban and we're not actually going to punish anybody for it, even though we said we would. Like, they're so reactionary at every single step that they continually just get in their own way and hurt their own product as a whole because of their own ineptitude through the processes of everything. It's ridiculous.
It's insane.
Let's move on. We got a couple more topics to get to here, and then the pick segment. Yep. I wanted to take a minute and talk about some early impressions on some of the NHL rookies.
Speaking of first-round draft picks.
Speaking of some first-round picks. This year in particular, we mentioned
I want to put Mateo's comment up because anything that goes against Bettman is fine by me. It's intentionally vague so Bettman can willy-nilly decide on the spot. Yeah, you're damn right.
Yep, there's a lot of truth to that.
I run our fantasy league better than Bettman runs the NHL.
And this is the guy who ended up with the first overall pick so that he could stack Connor Bedard and Connor McDavid.
Hey,
that's our commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, and I would still have more confidence in Joel to run a league than I would Gary Bettman.
And I'm telling you right now, blame ESPN for their random generator. I offered to spin a wheel, and all of you said, no, we could just randomize it.
Whoa.
I did.
When was that discussed, spinning a wheel?
It's in a text.
I need to see the pictures of that text because I do not recall seeing that, and I certainly would have. I would have said, do it live so that we can spin, we can watch, rather than totally leave it up to ESPN.
Yeah, maybe I meant to, and then I just forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's why I said I want to see that text, sir. I want to see that text, sir.
Find me my first round pick next year. I still get my keepers though.
Yeah, we'll put it to a league vote, but yeah, I think that's fair.
The league vote is just me voting no. Now I'm more like Bettman. There we go.
There you go. Commissioner overrules.
Yeah. Listen here, Mateo. Get the hell out of here. You're the noob to the league.
Earlier on, we mentioned Matt Poitras staying up with the Bruins and a big piece of their hot start. They're 8-0-1, 9-0-1, something like that.
Yeah.
To start the year, still undefeated in regulation. Them and Vegas are the last two unbeaten in regulation. But we talked about some of the other big rookies this year. Obviously, Connor Bedard, Fantilli, Carlson, Ridley Greig leading all rookies in points. Speaking of Ottawa, 2 goals, 5 assists. Bedard in the lead in goals with 4. But there are 6 rookies who have 6 or more points. And there are 35 rookies who have already recorded a point this season and were 9-10 games in.
Mm-hmm.
We need to appreciate how good this rookie class is, because not every rookie class is going to be this good. This is an insane class. And we've already seen some of the shifting in the odds on the Calder voting. Bedard is still the favorite, but that was like minus 400 to start the season. It's at minus 150.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got to be minus 200 or minus 150 now.
Yeah, well, Logan Cooley was in the plus 1,000 range. He's up to plus 750.
You know what? I actually meant to text you and HP this. Like, I'm starting to lean potentially more towards the field because
the field is that good.
Well, and some of these rookies have better teammates. They have better talent around them. Because especially now that Taylor Hall is injured, Bedard's just doing the shit by himself. And he can't. Yeah. I don't care how good you are at 18, you can't sustain that.
Yeah, that's why I think there's a decent chance it could go to Fantilli. It could go to Cooley, Luke Hughes. Devin Levi's still plus 3,000.
Luke
Poitras,
Hughes actually, I think
plus 3,000.
Luke Hughes would be my bet because, as we saw recently with Moritz Seider, a defenseman rookie producing like that definitely earns the Calder, whether or not they're the highest scoring. They still got to be in the top 3 in scoring, though, in my opinion. I know, I get it. That's not what the Norris Trophy's for, but for Rookie of the Year, yeah. If you're a defenseman and you're in the top 3 rookie scoring, this is me saying, because Bedard would lose out in this case if that happened. If it's between Luke Hughes and Connor Bedard, 1 and 2, or 1, 2, 3, whatever, Hughes, Bedard, and let's just say Logan Cooley. Yes, you heard it here first. I almost think they would probably pick Luke Hughes.
To get our one Minnesota Wild mention for the show in.
But you could do more than that, you know.
I know, but this wasn't a Wild themed night, so I didn't want to go too far into things. But Marco Rossi tied for second among rookies in goals. He's got 3 on the year. He's one back of Bedard, same shooting percentage.
Can I Joel Stradamus is hot right now because I said that he would break out and have a year, and he's not a bust like half of your fan base started calling.
He's not. He is not a bust. My God.
Give the kids some time.
Speaking about being reactionary.
Right. And also, I'm going to give the casual Blackhawks fan base some credit. I have not seen much of, what the hell? What's so big about this Bedard kid? Just because he's not.
He's not on a point per game pace yet. Why are we?
Right.
What? He leads all rookies in goals and he's second in points.
Right.
Shut up.
I haven't seen any complaining, so I'm gonna give some credit. Good job. We are willing to give some kids some patience.
I can't believe we're actually saying "good job, Blackhawks" Twitter on this show.
I know that doesn't. No,
that's crazy to me.
No, there's usually not much of a good job.
Yeah, going through too many of the odds. Marco Rossi actually doesn't have Calder odds listed on FanDuel.
No offense, he's not winning it.
You never know. Depends.
Outside of the names,
the rest of the way.
I got 5 names off the top of my head without even looking at the stats who will win it over him.
If he plays his way up and plays alongside Kirill Kaprizov, starts taking the lead in points, he's got a shot.
Okay, all right. I mean, that's Logan Cooley was a solid pickup for him. Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, Cooley's still looking for his first goal. But
it's so fun, man. Like, give it to the kids. Yeah, the kids are gonna take over.
6 assists through 8 games there.
But hey, to your point too, like rookies in points. Like, yes, there's, like you said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 that are 6 points or higher. There's also some name recognition to go along with this, and there's some names in the top 10 in rookie scoring who you're like, who?
Yeah.
Like maybe this is just me, but I mentioned Matt. This is probably why I accidentally said him earlier. Matthew Poitras or Poitras or whatever. Poitras. I didn't know who the hell that kid was. And then he goes and lights us up in our first game against the Bruins for 2 goals. And I'm like, who the hell is this kid? Like, or, oh God, I'm about to butcher this kid's name. Pavel
Mintyukov. I'll save you the trouble. Mintyukov.
Yeah, thank you. Mintyukov.
Yeah.
I don't know who the hell that is.
Yeah, good defenseman for the Ducks.
Right. Of course, the Ducks, all their damn prospects they have.
Yeah, they're finally they are just about to have. I think they're probably 2 years away from what the Devils are this year. I think that's about where they're at.
2 to 3, because the Devils are disgusting. The Devils are doing what we said they were going to do. It is, yeah.
And I think it was deeper than what we thought the Devils were at, even with those picks.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Mateus and Mintyukov is dirty in juniors too. Skilled hockey player. And I think as well for the Ducks, now that they have a coach who is better suited to coach to his players' strengths and put them in positions to succeed. That's why you're seeing Mintyukov breaking out and putting up these points early. That's why, even though Carlson has been under load management, like we talked about last week, he is still 3 points in 5 games.
Right.
So we're seeing that. Yeah. And we should mention the goalies as well. Lucas Dostal has been excellent for Anaheim this year. He's played 5 games. He's won 4 of them as a rookie goaltender. 921 save percentage, 279 goals against. And then you look at John Gibson, where his goals against is a 3.4, and he's playing behind the same team. That's going to be Dostal's net before the end of the year.
Now that trade value
Gibson may be out the door.
That trade value is plummeting fast.
His trade value, I don't think, has ever been lower than it is right now.
Yeah, dude, I love it. I mean, I think I've gone on record. I love seeing that the kids kind of take over. Yes, obviously part of that is because we have one of them, but still, so do you. You and Marco Rossi, like
the kids are going to be all right.
Exactly. Literally yesterday, even though, or was it yesterday? No, I'm sorry. 2 nights ago, I had to watch, the Hawks get absolutely smoked 8-1 by
Arizona.
Coyotes. Yeah, by the Coyotes. But the first goal of the game, 28 seconds in, was hopefully what I will be saying for the next 15 years. Korchinski to Bedard score. Like that. It's just kids, man. I love it.
We had a topic that we were going to bring up last week and touch on, and we kind of dumped it for time. We still got to talk about it this week. Where is your panic meter at for the Edmonton Oilers? Because even last week we're like, ooh, this is bad. It has gotten even worse. They are 2-5-1 at this point in the season. 5 points. They're tied with the Calgary Flames, looking up at the Kraken, Ducks, Kings, Canucks, and Golden Knights. Yes, Connor McDavid, we were just talking about all the rookies. Connor McDavid has been out injured. Yes, that is part of the issue.
He's back.
But you cannot pin absolutely everything with this organization on Connor McDavid and live and die solely by what he does night in and night out. You have to play a team game. If one is, I'm not worried at all, and 10 is sounding absolutely every alarm, can the coach, can the GM sell pieces, look at a rebuild? If that's your scale, where is your panic meter at for the Edmonton Oilers?
I can't really panic about any team this early into the season. It's it just flipped to November, literally today. Happy November, Dan. I can't be panicking yet. We are at maximum 10 games played for every team. All the other ones are at 8 or 9. The Blues and Stars have only played 7. Interesting.
Yeah, they had weird starts to their schedule.
But so I can't rightfully be anywhere above an 8. But could I be at like a 5 or 6? Yeah, because this is if that's the whole, you said it yourself. If you lose McDavid and that's how you look, I get it. He's the best player in the world. He is arguably the best player we will ever see when it's all said and done. But you can't solely lean on one player and just be like, well, if he's out, we're screwed. You can't do that. Draisaitl's still keeping up the pace. He's at 13 points, which is tied for fourth best in the league right now in points, with 4 or 5 other people too, by the way. But outside of that, McDavid's been injured, so he's nowhere near what he would be producing. He came back and, hey, they won the Heritage Classic. That's something, right?
Yeah, I guess there's that.
That was their second win of the season. 8 games in, right? They got 8 games played now, right?
Yeah, but also the idea that Connor McDavid has missed time and is still tied for second on the team in points despite the time that he's missed.
That's more that more tells you what the something's wrong.
Yeah,
that's why look, I think by around the holiday break, so the Christmas break that they take and everything, if they're still struggling and still looking up at 5-6 the other teams in the Pacific, I mean, do you start jumping up to a 7 or an 8? And do they in the organization start doing that and saying, uh-oh, maybe we start selling? Obviously, you're not going to sell McDavid or Draisaitl, but like, you got to shake something up. And we've said forever, they need another top 4 D-man. They need a better goalie. Stuart Skinner's start has been god-awful.
It's been bad, but he's still been noticeably better in terms of how the team plays in front of him. Skinner's save percentage is .863. Campbell is .878. But the goals against for Skinner is .351, and the goals against for Jack Campbell, .435. When your goals against average starts looking like a baseball pitcher's ERA, and he's the number 5 starter in the rotation, you got a problem.
Yeah.
That's really, really bad. I'm going to go about a 7.
I'd consider Draisaitl because he can walk in a year. I mean, you kind of took the words out of my mouth.
Draisaitl's contract is up the year that the worst of the Parise Suter buyouts are off the books. Send him to Minnesota. We get the 1C that we've never had in the history of our franchise. Make it happen.
I mean, I don't know, man. If the Oilers continue on this path, I roll my eyes at you now, but I might have to stop rolling my eyes at you.
Dude, 2 years from now, when all of the young kids are up and playing well, and then you get Draisaitl thrown into that mix.
He's going to want to come play with Bedard, dude.
No, because Bedard is the 1C by then. He'll take up all the top minutes.
Move him to wing. If he continues to struggle at the faceoff dot by then, move him to wing, bring in Draisaitl. Or who knows? Maybe McDavid wants to come play with Connor Bedard. The 2 Connors. The Connor line.
That would haunt my nightmares forever.
We wouldn't need a defense. We'd be scoring 10 goals a night.
Mateo's saying fire Holland and trade Draisaitl so you can properly rebuild.
I mean,
worth considering. Also, by the way, just Googled Jay Woodcroft because I wanted to look up when he took over. I couldn't remember off the top of my head. And no joke, the first thing that popped up is an article that mentions that he was the most positively received coach of 2023. And you know how like when you have an article that you Google, it like pops up with like a little section? I need to read you this section because it is fascinating.
All right.
Edmonton Oilers head coach Jay Woodcroft isn't just one of the most handsome coaches in the NHL anymore. He's also the number 1 most positively received coach of 2023 after recent research highlighted his remarkable reception amongst fans. About all there is to say.
Hey. Yeah, I heard you though. 7. Yeah, I mean 6, 7. It makes sense.
Let's move into our pick segment. We're going to start with the Edmonton Oilers, but we got to put up the banner. Joel, you're 0 for 7, and you've made some good predictions this season, but they haven't come in the pick segment. It's a rough start, and I can't get on you too much because 2 and 5 is still pretty bad.
It happens every year, dude. The beginning. What have we been saying? Hockey's dumb, man. Hockey is dumb.
You have the Blackhawks beating Vegas, giving them their first loss of the season.
They were the last undefeated team, by the way. I called that.
Yeah, they were the last undefeated team. And they lost to the Blackhawks. And then the Blackhawks, in their next game, get their teeth kicked in 8-1 against the Coyotes. Hockey does not make sense. And trying to predict it is tough.
It's tough. That's why, you know what? That's why I go off and get excited about the fact that I was 10 games over 500 as a grand total, and now I'm 5 games. Like, I'll take that because this shit is all over the place. Especially
still a winning record.
Especially in the first 10, I'll even argue first 20 games of the season where shit is just still trying to settle in and you just don't know. But like we said, we talked about it in the beginning of the show. This game is fast. This game is unpredictable. There is a lot of shit going on. And I can't even remember the name of the kid who got the hat trick against us. His hat trick goal was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Where it bounces all over the place. He touched the puck technically, but like it bounced off the netting, off the post, right behind Soderblom's shoulder and in. And I'm like, what? Like that's hockey. That's hockey, baby. That's hockey. Speaking of the Oilers.
Yep, Oilers minus 146 at home tomorrow night. They are taking on the Dallas Stars plus 122.
Hold on.
Yes, that is correct. And let me tell you why.
What?
It is because, number one, Connor McDavid is back in the lineup tomorrow night for Edmonton.
Okay.
Number two, the Dallas Stars are playing tonight. The Oilers are not. And Jake Ottinger is getting the start in net tonight against Calgary. Devils, or excuse me, I don't know where I got Devils from. The Stars are currently down 1-0 to the Calgary Flames. Joel, who you got in this one?
I didn't realize they were playing tonight, and our Ottinger started tonight.
Yeah, so you're probably looking at Scott Wedgwood tomorrow night against Edmonton.
Not necessarily, though. They could play him back-to-back.
They could, but especially lost tonight, which losing now, and yeah, it's early, it's a 1-goal game, but I don't know that, especially after seeing the wear and tear on Ottinger in the playoffs last year, he had nothing left because of how much he gave the season in that first round. You really got to be careful because they're only going to go as far as he can carry them come playoffs this time around. I'm in favor of going with Wedgwood on the back-to-back in this one. And I think that's what the betting line is showing too, is that they're expecting.
I get that. And I think despite that, I still think getting the Stars at plus money, that's pretty good value regardless of Ottinger not being in net. I got to go with the Stars.
Oh, man.
The struggle bus is still real despite McDavid coming back. I'm pretty sure.
I'm torn on this one.
I didn't watch the Heritage Classic. I think they were losing too, but they did come back.
So give myself a little extra time to think here. Over or under 1.5 points for McDavid tomorrow night. This is just a side. This isn't going to count towards our pick segment, but
honestly, probably under.
I'm thinking under too.
Yeah. He'll get a point, whether it's a goal or an assist. I don't know if he gets 2 points though, or more. Just because he's still got to kind of ramp up from coming back from the injury. Like the Heritage Classic is a special type of game. So you get up a little more for it, but now you're just playing a regular old game. Now, you are at home, but I don't know. He's got to have some time to ramp up, even though, yes, he's a superhuman cyborg, but I don't know.
I'm going to go Edmonton because I think we're going to end up going the same on our other picks here. So I want to guarantee that we get at least one different. I'll go Edmonton, but it's close.
It's close. I honestly don't know how I feel about taking Dallas because I know Edmonton and McDavid are probably we need to get this shit going right now. But
yeah, that's my reasoning for
until you prove to me you're going to get out of this slump right now, as opposed to maybe a couple weeks. I can't bet on you right now.
Right, and switch it around. So Oilers are. If the Oilers were on the road, Dallas at home, and Dallas is on the second night of a back-to-back, I would still take Dallas on that one. Being that it's in Edmonton, and I'm going Oilers. When in doubt, go with the home team.
Hey, knowing how I'm going, you're probably going to be right.
We'll see.
Anywho.
Carolina Hurricanes minus 102 at the New York Rangers minus 118. What very well could be a playoff matchup. What could be points in the standings at the end of the season. Rangers off to a hot start, 7-2-0. Carolina, little bit of a stumble out of the gate, but a not quite league best, but close. 37 goals on the season for Carolina, but they've also allowed 37 goals. Yikes.
That team defense and that goaltending is not
They've actually allowed 5 more goals than Edmonton has this year.
Ow. Holy shit.
That's how bad it's been. And granted, they do have 2 more games played, but still. That's when you're keeping up with Oilers goaltenders in a stat category, it's not a good sign.
No.
Joel, where are you going on this one?
I mean, the Rangers are hot. 7-2.
5-game win streak.
5-game win streak. Artemi Panarin is in 3rd in the league for points right now. My boy, the bread man. God, I miss him. 5 goals, 10 assists. Like he's been an assist machine. Oh man. And this is a something's got to give game too, because Carolina's rocking a 3-game winning streak too. So 5 versus 3. At home though, and the hotter of the two, in my opinion, I got to go with the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm going Rangers too.
That actually surprises me. I actually thought you might go Carolina.
I haven't seen enough from Carolina right now.
So it's the same thing with me. Same thing with me in Edmonton. I haven't seen
I think Svechnikov has got to get it going here. And not that, I mean, he was injured to start the year. It's not that he hasn't played well, but to really see him take off and have what would be his first really big game of the year, there's a chance it could come in a game like this. But again, when in doubt, take the home team. I'm going with the Rangers on that one.
Yep.
And finally, I feel like we've picked Toronto every week so far this season for our pick segment. It's just kind of how it's worked out.
Yeah.
But Leafs Bruins is always an entertaining game. A reminder that it was 4-1. Just to get the Leafs fans riled up, get them going. Leafs plus 100, Boston minus 120. Boston still undefeated in regulation.
Yeah.
Willie Nylander, a 9-game point streak to start the year for the Leafs. Joel, I've got this one circled as game of the night. And I say that knowing full well that my Wild are playing tomorrow. I'm going to be flipping back and forth between games here. Who you got in this one?
Oh, my God. It's so tough. Again, Boston just decides, yeah, we're going to prove everybody wrong, and we're not going to regress. We're going to come out of the gate swinging.
Also, where it's due to the schedule maker giving this one a 7:30 start so that I can stagger and watch and flip between periods of this one in the Wild game. Credit where it's due. Schedule maker nailed that one.
Yeah. I hate it. But I really need a win, and I feel like it's going to be Boston, so I got to go with Boston. They're hot. They haven't lost in regulation. They have lost, but I don't know when the hell it stops, man. So I just until it stops, I got to go with Boston, and they're at home too, and I know they love playing at home. What are they at home?
4-1.
So 4-1. So the only loss was actually at home, but barely so. Plus, I feel like Boston really gets up for this rivalry a little more so, I think, than the Leafs do. So, I got to go Boston.
I'm looking at one factor that is going to tilt the scales for me towards Toronto, and that is that Charlie McAvoy is serving a 4-game suspension.
Rightfully so.
Head contact.
Rightfully so.
He earned it. That was a really dumb penalty. I think everybody in the building knew that was a dumb penalty, and they knew a suspension was incoming.
I said it on Twitter. He's one of the few Bruins I like, but good God, did he earn that? Like, that was bad, man.
I was expecting maybe 3, I think is about where I was at, because he doesn't have like a history of head contact or anything like that.
That's how egregiously obvious it was.
For a first-time guy to get a 4-game ban for that type of hit, he earned it.
There was no
So,
gray area. That was all head. That was him leaning into it too, lifting it, not leaving the ice, but tiptoeing a little bit,
into the
upward
hit.
momentum. Like that was bad.
Yeah, I'm going to go Toronto only because of that factor. I think we're going to get a 1-goal game here. I'm completely staying away from the puck line in this one. Honestly, I think over might even be a better play than trying to pick either of the teams outright.
Perhaps.
The odds for that one, by the way, let me get back over to the actual games and not the awards. Over-under for that game is set at 5.5, with the favorite to the over at -138, the under +112. I do like the over in that one. I would feel more comfortable in that than picking either of these teams outright.
That's fair.
That's right. So recapping the picks, I'm going with Toronto. Joel is going with Boston. Joel and I are both taking the New York Rangers at home. Joel is taking Dallas on the road. I am taking the Oilers at home. Joel, you teased in the group chat your 2 minutes for roughing, but you didn't even tell us the topic. You didn't even hint at what the topic was going to be. So I am waiting with bated breath to see where this one goes. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll count you in.
It's a fun one. So whoever did stick around, we went like 16 minutes over what we usually do. So this is a fun one. It's worth it. I think we should clip it and put it.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. It might not even make it 2 minutes, but go ahead.
We'll see. You can stretch it out. Stand by in 3, 2, 1, go.
So it's November 1st. Obviously, yesterday was Halloween. And one of the biggest things that I kept seeing, and we talked about the crazies that are on Twitter that don't deserve a platform but have it. This one's more interesting. It was Halloween, and the topic that kept popping up randomly was a bunch of crazy ass moms. I don't know whether to call them Karens or to call them anti-vax moms or whatever the hell you want to call these people. Jumping on there saying, everyone, please, PSA, check your kids' candy when you're going trick-or-treating, or don't take them trick-or-treating at all. I don't understand why it's a thing. Our poor children clutching my pearls. These people could potentially be putting drugs in their candy. They could be hiding weed gummies or edibles in your kids' candy. Please be careful. I want to tell you right now, to any Karens or whatever, moms or whoever thinks this, to all of us that have edibles or buy weed, you think with how expensive weed is, or how much we get taxed, especially in Illinois, on buying legal weed, that we're going to give your damn kids free weed? Screw you. There is no way in hell that we are giving your kids free drugs. I will tell you right now, I partake simply in the marijuanas, in the edibles, in the THCs, in the CBDs.
Edibles.
That's all. That's all I partake in. Do you think that anyone with how expensive weed is going to give your damn spoiled, rotten kids weed in their candy or weed gummies or brownies? Absolutely not. Get it together and stop clutching those pearls. What the hell is wrong with you? You're delusional.
I've really appreciated the last couple of days the memes that have come out with the check your kids' Halloween candy, where it's like they just put the most ridiculous thing possible. My favorite one. Only the Chicago fans will understand. The Bears fans will understand this. The last game, Matt Eberflus didn't call a timeout in either half, so the best meme was check your kids' candy. I just found Matt Eberflus's unused timeouts in this Milky Way. Like, it was amazing. When I said check your kids' candy, I just found the entire state of Ohio in my kids' Kit Kat. It's such a good bit.
It's hilarious, but like there's people out there that are just like, please check your kids' candy. I don't want my poor child to be eating this marijuana edible. And I'm like, bitch, if you think that someone's giving your kids free weed, you are so out of touch with reality.
Ain't nobody putting the Jamaican broccoli in a trick-or-treat bag.
No, that's mine. That gummy over there on that table, that's mine. I bought that with my hard-earned money. I'm not giving your damn kid my gummy. Hell, quite frankly, I don't even want to give your damn kid my candy, let alone my weed.
Something to be said for that.
Just kidding, though. A lot of the kids do deserve it. I did feel bad for some of the kids that had to go trick-or-treating in a random blizzard in Chicago yesterday. That was weird.
Oh, yeah. There was snow in Minnesota yesterday, and it drew comparisons to the Halloween blizzard in 91.
Check your kids' candy.
Yes!
I just found Mark Edward Vlasic's contract in my kid's bowl. All right, that's
good for the Sharks for finding a way to get rid of it. That's about the only way they're going to get rid of it.
We have his nephew's contract.
Oh, God. That's a great note to end the show on. Thank you to everybody who watched, who tuned in throughout the show. Thanks for all the comments, especially Mateo, closing us out on a banger of a comment.
We can always count on him.
That was a fun show. It started off somber, but it ended on a really, really good note.
There's no easy way to segue it, but you gotta be able to laugh in the hard times to make you feel better.
Next show is going to be next Tuesday night, November 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So we will be right back here, back to our Tuesday schedule. We're probably going to keep it there for a little while anyway. May tinker around and see what Wednesday nights hold in the future, but Tuesday nights is going to be the plan moving forward, especially Thanksgiving week. That one's going to be a Tuesday, not a Wednesday type of show. So
absolutely, Dan, I'm gonna end the show on a jealous note for you.
Go on.
This weekend, we are all doing a 3A trip down to Peoria, and I'm going to be having myself some Jimmy's Long Islands, my friend.
Before you finished that sentence, I was getting ready to say Jimmy's Long Island.
We were literally planning out the trip, like, oh, where are we going to go? Where are we going to get dinner? Like Fieldhouse and such. And then we're like, One World, exactly. Oh, I got to call them.
I love One World.
I know, I got to call them tomorrow to make a reservation. But we were just like, the one constant that is happening both the Friday night we're there and the Saturday night is Jimmy's. Wherever else depends, but it's always Jimmy's.
Did you know they closed the Avantis across the street from campus?
They did. I was not that surprised. I mean, the gondola was really the only thing worth it there, but
I mean, the number of times that I walked out of that place with the bread that they brought to the table stuffed into my pocket so that I had the lunch the next day.
Italian restaurants and their bread. That makes sense.
Yep. Loaded up on that.
Everyone who's still listening is like, what the hell are you talking about? We both went to Bradley University. It's in Peoria, Illinois.
Budding restaurant.
Peoria, Illinois. It's a great place. I love it.
I would argue that there is no finer place in the country to get your Italian cuisine than Peoria, Illinois. I couldn't get through it with a straight face. I couldn't do it.
Did you take some of my gummies?
He's Joel. I'm Dan. Enjoy your night, everybody.